Hello, Sat Gaming here. This is a continuation on the video about the town of Vallaki. If you're interested in seeing the first part, I'll link it, but other than that, let's get right to it. Last time we covered what I considered to be the A plot of Vallaki, and in this video we're going to be covering what I consider to be the B plot. The distinction between the two being that A plot is going to be stuff that your players are forced to interact with within a certain period of time they spend in Vallaki, and B plot is usually optional things. For example, the attack on St. Andrew's is an A plot of Vallaki, and Rictavio would be considered a B plot in Vallaki, even though Rictavio is going to be a character that shows up more often in the bigger picture of the campaign, while events concerning or related to St. Andrew's are going to be mainly confined to Vallaki. This distinction shouldn't have much effect on how you run the game, but I find it a helpful tool to figure out what you should prioritize memorizing and making notes about. A plot is really critical stuff that you should probably commit to memory, and B plot is stuff that you can probably have on note cards and pull up as you need be. Pendantics and labeling aside, the things that you seed in Vallaki, such as rumors and whatnot, should correlate to what you want your players to be doing after Vallaki, or you should use this as an opportunity to figure out what your players want to be doing after Vallaki. For example, in my own game, I kind of wanted the players to go to Argynvostholt, so I had some of the rumors circulating be about a mansion that has been abandoned long ago that served an order of the Silver Dragon, and that was a part of their clue that they got from Esmeralda, and so that got them interested in traveling in that general direction. On the flip side, I had the tavern keep talk about how he was running out of wine and how he wanted them to go check on Wizard of the Wines, but they didn't seem too interested in that plot hook, so I knew to either shelf it or just have it in the back of my mind in case they ran into it. In other words, it wasn't something I needed to actively prep at that moment because they are interested in going to it right after Vallaki. After Vallaki, the world really just kind of opens up to the players. They can either choose to go certain places or you can prod them in certain directions. What it really reminds me of is Dark Souls 1, how after you beat Ornstein and Smo, you can just kind of go wherever after that to collect Lord Souls. There's certain points of light, and they can choose to go towards whatever point of light they want to, with the stipulation that they might accidentally choose one that's gonna kick their butt. So basically, just take player feedback in order to figure out what rumors you want to plant into Vallaki, and even just throw some wild ones out there to see if they're interested in it. Next train of thought, I didn't really use the recommended lake encounter because my players were very mistrustful of Vistani at this point, and I didn't really think that it would be a very interesting interaction, really. Also, they seemed kind of sick of having to escort NPCs places, and I understood that, so I was just like, I'll take it out. If you think your players are going to like it, definitely keep it in. I think it's interesting, but again, judiciously cut it if you want to. It's your game. Two really important elements that I didn't talk about in the A-plot video are Rictavio and the Were-Ravens. I can easily see these two helping out a good aligned party, and at this point in the story, Esmeralda or even Were-Ravens could have appeared already, so there could be some interaction there. It's starting to get pretty hard to give good general tips, because at this point in the campaign, most campaigns can and probably even should look a lot different than the one that I ran, and nowhere is this more obvious than with the Were-Ravens and Rictavio, because in other people's campaigns, Were-Ravens could have showed up and they could have already made themselves apparent, or in other people's campaigns it might not use Esmeralda. So again, you need to tailor this stuff to your campaign. I'm trying to give good general tips, but it's very difficult, because at Vallaki, and definitely past Vallaki, is the point where most campaigns should start looking a lot different. Again, it's a rail kind of leading into Vallaki, and then I consider Vallaki to be a 3-day long encounter that the PCs have, and then from there they take the reins, or at least in theory they do. More than likely your PCs will try and interact with Blue Water Inn, so have some rumors, have some patrons to be there, stuff like that. And also don't forget that Rictavio is either in there or there's some sign of him, because that can create some intrigue that they want to investigate. Also, your players might really like the charming persona that Van Richten puts on as Rictavio, and I think that was probably one of their favorite characters in the entire game. So just play it up. He's a really, really flamboyant guy, I guess. Blinsky's and the Stockyard are never really going to be curveballs. Same thing with the Vistani camp. If you take your players there, then you'll have them prepared. I do advise you throw in Blinsky's. It's a pretty fun little location. My players seem to really enjoy it. And Stockyard can be nice if they stumble into the Wachter brothers and they go on midnight shenanigans. Strongly consider putting any or even all of this information that you need to run these smaller locations onto note cards. I generally really like note cards as a player or a DM. It's just really good for keeping track of really small and specific stuff. It's compact. You can just flip through them. They're great. Get used to them. Lastly, if things ever drag in Vallaki, just have Ernst come and influence them or mess with them a bit, or give them some information that'll make them run around in circles for a bit. I found him to be a really nice tool to use whenever the players were getting kind of slow, because whenever they first came into Vallaki, things dragged a little. They were like, oh, what do we do? But then I just had Ernst approach them, and that really kicked things off. After they had that initial little injection of information from Ernst, they were kind of eager to research it and figure out what was what. And yeah, it just really got them interested in what the heck was happening in Vallaki, because it's a bit of a disorienting place when you first get there. And Ernst can help them at least give one viewpoint of what's happening in the town and what the reason is behind all the madness. And with that, that's all from me about Vallaki. I think the next video is going to be a more general overview of Barovia in the campaign, but I really don't know what to do after that because, like I've said, things change a lot and everybody's campaigns are going to be different. I don't know what advice you'll need. So, maybe leave some suggestions. Like, subscribe. It makes a big difference. I hope to see you all later. Been Sat Gaming here. Goodbye.